Guess who's back? It's your boy Jarvis with the Gab with,
Thaddeus, aka Thad. Welcome back.
and we're gonna kick some more flavor with you today. So, as your resident old athletes with bad knees and ankles that hurt, we're gonna talk about social movements in sports. You feel me? We are at a transcendent time, and everything is meshing together. Everything feels like one long song, and sometimes you gotta stop and compartmentalize it. You gotta break it down. You gotta look at what's in front of you, and that's what we're gonna do today. But we're gonna do it in the arena of sports.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, just like the board says, but that energy, I love it. I love that energy. Let's get some shit going. But today, man, we're talking about just honestly, fuck just dribbling. I mean, a lot of times we had our former president. He's told something I don't like very much until he won my team a championship, LeBron, to just shut up and dribble. And it is one of the things where honestly I am very much proud to be able to see, because I feel like even in our age, I didn't really see a lot of athletes that push socially like I feel like it is now, right? I'm not saying it wasn't happening, but I feel like it wasn't publicized like it is now, right? Like I feel like a lot for us to go back and look at athletes we feel like we're doing big things in social movements. We have to go back to like Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I feel like we have to go back that far. But now we're seeing it, right? Like there's movements, literally. I know we talked about this before in our Sports of 2020 episode, but I think that's honestly the best thing that came from the bubble is these players being in one space, talking, engaging, and getting these ideas out there so they can make these social changes happen.
And watching stuff happen out of the same lens. You feel me? Being able to converse about it in real time, in person.
Yeah.
You feel me? When ain't no emojis, ain't no 180 character limit now. Shout out to Twitter.
Yeah.
There's no Facebook post. I'm sitting down like you and I, telling how we feel. But I do want to say one thing before I let you go. So this is what I want us to do. I want us to take a step back and it was Jesse Owens. It was all these the good brother Jesse Owens. All these people that within the sports arena that have done these things, but there are people that we forget about, and I can't remember names right now. But there's the guy from basketball who had these demands when he went to the White House after they won a championship. And if I think of the name, I'll say it later. And he was
Say in the comment below if you know it.
If you know that name, he was essentially blacklisted out of the NBA because of that. I think they went to see Reagan after they won a championship. And he gave a list of demands on behalf of the black people, and that didn't fly over well. You feel me? Like that happened.
That's a big shot. You could have took it back then.
It was actually with the first Bulls championship with the Michael Jordan run, if I'm speaking correctly. But we've had, and that's a great spot to start, because we've had athletes that would go out and speak on behalf of the people, and it didn't turn out well. So now when we're looking at some of the athletes and what they're doing now, we have to remember what they have been through in the past so that we can appreciate what we're getting now. But what's your view on the social movement in sport? What social movements are out there?
Well, I mean, honestly, just for me, this is my opinion. I think it affected me directly and where I live personally with the WNBA. Effectively, honestly, getting Kelly Loeffler out of her seat. Let's just be honest, right? They were the first ones. Like, I'll be real honest, say this. I didn't know who Warnock was until I saw like in the bubble when the WNBA players put the vote for Warnock shirts on.
Yeah.
I didn't know who dude was for that. I'll be real, like because a lot of times, like, unless you're a person that's in the politics like that and you study it, you just honestly don't know unless you see it on TV, right? And I was honestly one of those that were oblivious, and I'll admit it. So like seeing that, I was like, who's this Warnock dude? Looked him up, learned more about him, and I even remember. After that coming, I remember seeing the wave of commercials coming for him, right? Like, so for me, that was me learning about somebody that I didn't even know who existed beforehand. That helped enable me to be educated, enable me to know, okay, this is the guy that I want to vote for to get Kelly out the office. So for me, that was, in my opinion, the biggest move was WNBA pushing Kelly Loeffler out the office. And now, at the time of this taping, they're trying to push her out of owning the Atlanta Dreams. Yeah. So like for me, that was a big movement, because I think it was not only, to me, it was like WNBA has always to me been the head of everything. being the lead, pushing those kind of movements. To me, in my opinion, when it comes to sports, like hey, you have players who literally put their careers on pause to go and make those.
I mean, but think about what the NWBA is. I'm sorry, y'all.
I was running to the NAACP at first. I was like, where's he going?
What are you talking about, Jarvis? Yes. But no, seriously, like the WNBA is a cohort of the most gifted female athletes in the world that are also the most disenfranchised gifted athletes.
Yeah, mostly black women. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And the stigma that come with being in the WNBA. If I were to tell you there were married heterosexual women in the WNBA, you probably spit your wine out because it's hard because it's the stigma and the stereotypes that come with that. You feel like every woman in the WNBA is some butch hardcore lesbian, and no problem with that if that's who they are. But that we have to remember that's not the reality.
There's some baddies in WNBA, bro. I just want to make sure we say that too.
I'm gonna let you go. Go on.
My bad, I'm just being real.
Okay,
There's some baddies in WNBA.
Okay.
I just want to make it known.
All right.
There's some baddies in WNBA.
Okay, you done.
Sorry, my bad. Okay. That was thirsty for a second. I just want to make sure we clear that up. There's some baddies in WNBA. They can hoop too.
But
I just want to make sure you clear it up too.
Regardless of that, the fact remains.
Beat me a one-on-one anytime.
I'll take it. The fact remains that the WNBA has been social and vocal in all of their issues, whether it's pay, whether it's discrepancies in equipment and stuff like that. Like
they're trying to.
Like even with the bubble, like they sent those WNBA players to a high school in IMG in Florida during the bubble.
Oh, I remember they fixed that. A lot of players spoke up together and they got to move to the resort.
Yeah, and they moved and they sent LeBron to Disney World. So I'm trying to figure out. But they've always had to fight for something. Yeah. Now their cause is righteous in the sense that it's benefit for more of everybody. You feel me? Because they were. Do you know what kind of dislike and hatred you have to have for your boss to publicly campaign against them for public office?
That's real.
Like I'm not even voting for my boss, man. What?
Like nah, man, for real.
Listen,
like
if my boss is watching this, if whatever you want to run for, you have Jarvis's vote. Believe that, because I don't.
Bro, literally, I don't like you so much. I'm gonna wear a shirt against your opponent. That's real. That's real. But to me, it's not only that. I mean, I just want to get personal. I remember I had this conversation with somebody else, right? It was comparing Kyrie's situation, right? I remember people got mad with Stephen A. Smith telling Kyrie to retire, right? But my thing is like, with that is like, WNBA players do it all the time. And I said nothing against Kyrie. That's like he's going through something. Please get the help you need. And also too, I appreciate what you're doing. I saw you. He sat in on a meeting from a district attorney candidate. So you definitely are putting in work. But for me, it's just like if WNBA players who just realistically ain't making it. I probably make this much some WNBA players. I'm just being honest. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth about it is if they can quit their jobs and put their careers, something they trained their whole lives for, and go too on pause. The NBA players can do it too. Heck, for me, NBA players should be easier because you're a millionaire. So if you put your career on pause, you can still feed yourself relatively.
Yeah,
right?
I feel that.
So that's what I'm saying. They've always been in front of that.
But how well do you utilize your platform if you're not on your platform?
I actually do want to bring that up after you brought that up too. So let's go back to that, right? So back to that. So something else I want to add to it is too. I think what is able in players nowadays. So I feel like any level of player can have a voice is social media, right? So even if an athlete does take a pause from playing, if that athlete has celebrity, they still have their social media to have a platform. So yes, even though they do stop playing in that situation, you still have a platform because you already have a gathering of people from being a celebrity or athlete.
Sure.
Right? But let me ask you this though too, to piggyback off that. Do you think social media, in your opinion, has been a tool that's helped them be able to do that, use their voice?
Yeah, I do. Kyrie Irving, he's very so I from a personality standpoint, I've noticed that Kyrie is that person So I think it's very.
That don't make my wine out. Okay, explain that one. Man said the world is flat.
Yeah, and he thinks you're dumb if you don't think it's flat. You know, he's one of those people that are well read, well studied, and they have like rock solid opinions, not necessarily facts, but opinions about what they believe. And Kyrie comes off as one of those individuals who will always do what he feel like is right from a heart conviction standpoint because he feel like he's right, like his ideology is right. So now even when he take his break, and we don't know why he took his break.
Yeah,
we don't know why.
And in that same breath, I want to make sure I say this. Sorry to cut you off. It's not our business to know either.
Absolutely.
I was going to say that.
It's not our business to know. So it is. But if it is pertaining to what happened on January 6th, because that's about the time he went MIA on him. Mm-hmm. I get it. You feel me? Like you are. This is a dilemma with NBA players that I think that we in NFL and all high level athletes that make millions and millions of dollars. Like they are key parts of socialism, and not socialism, capitalism, and they are a key part of the money system that perpetuates systemic poverty. Right?
We're paying them to entertain us.
They will pay them to entertain us. Then they take our last. I'm generalizing like a fool because everybody ain't poor, but they're taking hard.
Them seats ain't cheap.
Right, and even the seats. It's the shoes. It's all that, So I think for a person like
jerseys,
Kyrie, and I don't know the brother personally, but I have to think that it kind of weighs on him that he is this figure who he does think he because of the position he is, he knows better, he's seen better, he understands more. I imagine how hard it is that you still go out there and allow yourself to be exploited by the NBA because that's what you are being. That's what's happening.
True.
And you still go out there and you dribbling and people back home, as soon as you open your mouth about world events, they tell you stop talking and shoot. You feel me? So I can imagine how difficult that is, and not even just for Kyrie. Like think about the LeBrons, who obviously don't give a shit unless we're talking about China, but that's a different topic for a different day. Like we have the Kyries, and we have all the you rarely get anything out of it.
Well, no, I don't. And LeBron's not my favorite player in the world. But he does do a lot though, bro.
Oh, if y'all think I say he doesn't do it, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh,
what I'm saying is
you said he didn't say shit, so it sounded like that. Sorry.
Oh no.
I was having you back.
He says what he wants to say is something. Do you recall the situation when he said something about China?
Yeah.
Where he was like, "Nah, I don't want none of that smoke."
Yeah,
right?
Everybody say it.
Yeah, so that happened. So
you know what Bron fans are. They'll hear you say a piece and they'll come at you. So
I'm a Laker fan and I am a fan of LeBron as a person. Not my favorite brand of basketball.
I can be honest. I have to give Bron his flowers real quick. Let me 5 seconds real quick. People always like, "You Bron hater." Bron as a man off the court and his off the court decisions is untouchable, right? The man literally he put his people on. Like literally all his friends are a part of his business in some type of way, right? That's stuff that we see white people do all the time, right? Or even other cultures, period, right? They'll get businesses and they'll put their family members on. Bron has put his family on. He literally has made his family, his friends, they have different brands that they run, right? So you put your people on. Not only that, you invested in your community. He bought a damn school for people to go to for free and helps them get college education, right? Like he impacted his community, right? And every time there's sometimes something social goes on, the people are gonna put a mic in his face and ask his opinion, and he always will give his 2 cents and say it.
So let me ask you this. So this is the question of how do you feel like athletes are obligated to use their voice for the greater good, and if so, why? And I've got a follow-up behind that.
Okay. Do I think that they're obligated to do that? I'll be real. Obligated, no. Because that is not your job to be the moral compass of the country. It's not your job, right? Like, I'm just being real. Are you obligated? No. Should you? I would say yes. But obligation, no. And the reason why, like I said, it's not their job to be the moral compass of this country. That is not their job. They're not elected officials. They're not politicians. They can't make laws. They can influence things, but it's not their job. No, but they should.
So, and my follow-up question behind that is, why do you think it is that the African American community look for athletes to speak out?
Because for us, those are honestly, realistically, those are the most. Those are the images we see of ourselves on TV.
I'm gonna use the Shakespeare reference because I like Shakespeare. I think it was Hamlet when they walk into court and they say, "Who are the most noble around you, amongst you?" I want people to understand, like, we should be looking for teachers. We should be looking for firefighters. We should be looking for police officers. We should be looking for city council.
But they don't show us those people.
We aren't, by and large, we're not part of those.
Well, that too.
And in our community, we don't even. I don't. This is a personal opinion. I think we value their opinions as much as we would value LeBron James. Because he is the most established amongst us. He is the most recognizable amongst us. He is someone that, that as African American community we are proud of. This kid from Akron, Ohio, who grew up with nothing and now.
Bruh, he ain't had nothing come up about him. Right. He ain't had no random ass baby mama. He ain't had no scandal. He is like, what did you like? It's clean. Like he's been with the same woman since day one he's been in the NBA. He married this woman. He had kids with her. He's had a family. He's brought them up. Like, it's like, well, I don't like Bill Cosby that much, but he's like the athletic version of Cosby.
Cliff Huxtable.
Cliff Huxtable. He's the athletic. He's the athlete. Cliff Huxtable. He's perfect.
Yeah. So.
Oh God, I feel sick saying that. But he is.
and we have those in small entities and small examples, and we have very noble men who are like cornerstones in their community.
But let me ask you this too.
But from a national perspective, we don't have a lot of LeBron James. You feel me? We don't have, not ones that are very vocal or willing to do what he's doing in the community. Well, I grew up so I'm from Social Circle, Georgia, but I grew up in Monroe, Georgia as well, on this little street called Lacey Street, on Lacey Street. And at one point in time, it was like on the FBI's like top 100 worst residential areas to live because it was infested. I remember like my friends' parents like going to go buy crack, like real deal crackheads. You feel me? And that's a very derogatory term, but at the time that's what I thought they were. You feel me? So, now where that was normalized for me, I think it's completely cool that my son now has athletes that are not just saying, but are doing things that tell you to do the complete opposite of what I seen when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't minimalize what that voice is and what it does for the community. You feel me? Like, athletes can't afford to just shut up and dribble no more. Like, Serena Williams can't just get out there, swing a racket, and go about her business. Like, you feel me? Like, she could, but I don't even like it's a very pretty tennis player woman.
You talking she's
Osaka.
Osaka. I don't know.
Aneka Osaka, I think is her name. I could be very wrong.
But Osaka is the last name. I do remember that.
Right. Like.
Technically, she don't even represent the United States. So for me, for her talking, I think that means a lot too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she has African American roots, but she technically doesn't. But when you see her play, the flag next to her name usually is the Japanese flag.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew it. Never realized that. Mm-hmm. But like, she knows that she's a black woman.
Basically, yeah.
And she feel like she has a moral obligated duty to like speak towards that for little black girls that I can't necessarily give them. You feel me? I can't tell them what a successful young lady.
But also with that too, that part too is like, I have my own individual thoughts on Kamala Harris, and I do plan on. I do always say even though I voted for you, I hold you to a standard of yes, I voted for you, but also they have expectations come with my vote too, right? But also the beautiful thing about Kamala Harris is, and actually I personally, I'm not having a daughter, I'm not having a son, but that's a beautiful thing now, right? Like, you can literally tell a little black girl, baby, you can be president of the United States. And it's something that you can look.
Yeah. And I think that I think we have to realize what we are. And this is my true thought on it. I think we have to realize what we are in the African American community. Like I can go to my neighborhood and tell them all this stuff and be like, there's the world outside of Social Circle, Georgia. There's a world outside of the 30315 zip code here in Atlanta. There's a world outside of this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it won't resonate like Kyrie Irving telling you that the most important thing is your civic obligation, and that means that you can't forego $1 million because that's how much he went and not playing those games.
Mm-hmm.
In order for you to get your mental right, and also to do what you need to do for your community, then that's okay. You feel me? Like I can't miss a day of work because I'm not sure how my light bill is gonna get paid.
Yeah.
If I do, you feel me?
But still though, we got to take off work. We got PTO. I'm not just about it. No. Hear me out.
Are you saying that Kyrie took PTO?
No. I'm sorry. My bad. What I'm saying is, we have the luxury of taking PTO, right? Like if a teacher, if you need days off, you have PTO. If I need days off, work, I have PTO. Mm-hmm. Kyrie need days off. They taxing his check. Right? Like that's what I was saying, right? Sorry, my bad. What I was saying was
we'll keep that, thank you.
Exactly. We can take PTO, right? I'm still gonna get paid for those days, but he did what he had to do for his personal health. Right. And had to take an L in terms of money, right? And you know what? I am happy that you brought that up in this episode because I think a lot of times when people sometimes hear, just dribbling, I think they just think, we're talking about politics. Like, no, also a part of that is athletes' mental health, right? Like they're very much human beings just like us too. They go through shit just like everybody else. So I'm happy you did bring up that mental part with the dribbling.
I mean, but that message isn't just for athletes. That's for anybody watching this video. Like, don't feel ashamed. Like, if you need to step away and catch your breath and shit, I don't think nobody can what you gonna say to somebody who's saying I need a mental health day?
Yeah.
We need a mental health year. Like,
yeah.
Everybody.
No, for real. Honestly.
Everybody.
We need a year off.
We need a year to just get our bearings straight. You feel me? And we also need to. I think we, as in the community, we need to do a better job of revering the people that are doing the best that they can with what they have on their platform. Yeah. So that's just where I'm at with that.
Yeah. I mean, overall episode. We just wanted to say, honestly, guys, thank you, athletes, for using your platform. I know this YouTube channel of mine, we talk about stuff, but we don't have, I'm not to y'all's level yet. So I appreciate you all really putting your pockets on the line because sponsors get snatched up from you. You can lose sponsorships. You can be cut from a team. You are really putting your livelihood out there. And not only are we seeing y'all tweeting and making IG lives, we see y'all in the streets doing work too. So we just want to say thank you for that. It's not being unheard. And thank you for using your voice. Shout outs to people like Deshaun Watson. I heard him out there marching and talking. I heard Russell Wilson out there talking. Doc Rivers, he said a lot.
Michael
Steve Kerr. You know what? Pop always is saying something. I appreciate Pop for that because he always gonna say something. So Pop is always making sure that he speaks his word.
Jaylen Brown, Michael Brogdon, Jason Tatum.
Oh yeah, and the Bucks were taking that time. They actually sat out and they just said no, we're not playing today.
JJ Watt, very instrumental in voices about what he saw.
I remember for a lot of his stuff, he a lot of times never was. I'm not gonna say he was on the opposite spectrum, but you can kind of tell where he stood.
White media was trying to make him Captain America.
Right.
So
and finally he was like, nah, like that. I remember when he said about something like, what Cat was kneeling for, I see now wasn't for that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, your eyes open now too. But the thing is, I respect that because it takes a lot to admit that you were wrong. Right? It takes a lot to admit that what you thought and what you saw wasn't correct. And honestly, at the end of the day, like, we can say, we appreciate our black athletes for speaking up too, but we need the white athletes too, right? Like, we got to join together. At the take of this video, Martin Luther King's, birthday just recently passed, and in the day, Martin Luther King did reach his hand across the table too. He wanted us to join hands and be together. Great brother himself too. On that, I can close on that.
Nah, man, just appreciate who we got, promote what we do, and be peaceful.
All right, we out. So really, what you said ultimately was, what does relinquish mean to you? So like, what does that even mean to you in the first place? And what you want to convey in our show?
So like relinquish, when I hear that and I think about what you guys have created and what it is to me. So a lot of times when we hear the term or we feel the analogy of like somebody being shackled or held down to whatever circumstance that is holding them down, we think about the cuffs actually being an exterior force that's right around your wrist. Sometimes you are holding on to those things,
yeah.
and then when you relinquish it, let it go, you're free, right? So, but that is a process within itself.
You create your own freedom ultimately.
You creating your own freedom. The freedom is there. You feel me? Like there's always going to be outside forces that influence you to behave as if you were trapped. That ain't necessarily it. You feel me? So when I hear relinquish, you're letting go things that are holding you down from being free. Like literally Erykah Badu bag lady. Like let the bags go so you can fly. So that's what I hear when I hear relinquish.
That's real, bro. I mean, that's ultimately what relinquish what we try to convey. I mean, ultimately, we're trying to let people know, like, your freedom is really your own. The freedom is there for you to obtain. The freedom is there for you to get it, but you have to let go so you can be free and fly away. Absolutely. I mean, really, just what you said, man.
Absolutely. So even when I think about what it is that we are in the journey of where we're trying to create, and this is a show, and it's so many. Let's not get beside ourselves and say that we're groundbreaking and we're doing something new. It's men talking about issues from a man's perspective. At the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Yeah. But what I want people to know is that what I hope is different, or what we're even. I hope this isn't different, but I hope what is the message, what you get from us is, while what we're saying isn't fact, and it may not be fact.
No, it's not fact.
Yeah, it can be based on facts, but it ain't fact.
We're not getting the bullshit.
And it isn't the truth, right? This is our truth. This is what we feel to be true. This is what we think is, what is relevant. This is our moral scope. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you have to trust your own truth. You have to believe. You have to find what it is that you believe, and you have to live by that code. And hopefully that coincides with everybody else, and you just doing your part to make this world a better place.
See, this is why you were one of the first people to take pictures of. You explained it perfectly. But no, I mean, no, bro. I mean, I definitely do feel you in that. Like, ultimately, what we want people to get from relinquish is really what you think it is. I mean, honestly, ultimately, it's about being free. Right. So, whatever your idea of being free is, that's what it's gonna be.
So you gotta understand, like, relinquish is as far as what you guys built. Like, you have to go straight to the source for that. But use relinquish as a term, as a word, as a lifestyle, that ultimately, I'm telling you to use that to set you free.
Right.
That's it.
That's it. That's all we need.